going from that point on. Last but not least topic, the Miami Dolphins made a trade the other day. Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith, tight end, ended up going to Pittsburgh for Minkah Fitzpatrick coming back to the Dolphins now. I'm going to get Isaiah's take on this when he rejoins us on the show, but I want your take now. Who ended up winning this battle in this trade? Who ended up winning this trade if there was any winner at all? Because to me, there was no winner. But tell me who you think ended up with the better hand with this trade of Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith ended up going to the Pittsburgh Steelers for free safety Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Don't say that. You want to make me laugh, man. It was the Steelers, man. The Steelers won that, man. Because the player they ended up getting, they already claimed they already had, and he was younger. And then from what I was told, you know, and especially just look at the numbers, his numbers wasn't even good. Right now, it's not as good as it was the couple of years he had. So now the person that you just got, that you already had, is lesser than what he was before. So you tell me, how are you not the loser of a trade? Unless you just want to free up money, because, you know, teams do that. They free up contracts and free up money so they look more into the future more than to right now. That could be that type of move. But other than that, the Steelers won that, man, because the Steelers, they need pieces that to connect. Right now, whether they want to say it or not, they're in the rebuilding stage. It's just crazy that you're trying to rebuild with a 41-year-old quarterback. That's probably the most craziest thing to say, because you had Justin Fields that's in his early mid-20s already.
Well, here's my thing with Pittsburgh. I ended up thinking Miami won this trade tug of war. And I'll say that because Minkah Fitzpatrick is a one-of-a-kind free safety. The guy plays center field just like he is one of the top center fielders, and compared to baseball, he don't make very many mistakes. I've seen Jalen Ramsey get beat quite often. I mean, when he was with the Dolphins, even when he was with the Rams, you know, he was with Jacksonville initially, and he got traded from Jacksonville to the Rams, and he was really happy to be with Los Angeles. But I think Minkah Fitzpatrick coming back to Miami, I thought the Dolphins actually gained an asset because he was drafted by the Dolphins in 2018. Adam Gase was the head coach at the time. Gase ended up getting fired, and then that's when they brought in Brian Flores. And then Brian Flores made Patrick Graham, who was the defensive coordinator for the Dolphins, the D coordinator. What they wanted to do is they wanted to place Minkah in, you know, packages, dime packages and things like that, you know, nickel packages. And Minkah did not like that because he wanted to play the position that he's natural at, which is free safety, of course. And he could switch over to the strong side too, because I think he's big enough to play strong safety. The difference between the two is the free safety is freer. The strong safety lines up on the side of the tight end, and the strong safety tends to come up and play run much quicker than a free safety. The free safety's half is really center field half, unless they play in the type of defense where both safeties, you know, they backpedal into, you know, deep half. They call it deep half. Yeah. One safety's got a deep half on this side, another safety's got a deep half on the other side. But a free safety tends to be able to roam the field. He could come up and play run, but they can pretty much go anywhere. And that's what Minkah likes doing. He did it when he was at Alabama. He played it to the highest level when he was at Alabama playing under Nick Saban. I think it was a little bit unfair that Flores and Patrick Graham wanted to move him around like that. So he pretty much asked to be out, and they traded him to Pittsburgh. He did nothing but flourished at Pittsburgh while he was there. I didn't see very many flaws or mistakes from him when he was at Pittsburgh. To have him coming back to Miami under a different defense, and if they place him at free safety, I think it's going to help Miami. Now, Jalen, you know, Ramsey, he's a damn good player, top cornerback, shutdown cornerback, a good tackler. I mean, he's a headhunter. I mean, the guy come up and he'll lay some wood on you. But there was rumors swirling that there was actually tension between him and the management side of things, where there was one alleged rumor that he was showing up late to practice. Do you think the Miami Dolphins coach, Mike McDaniel, has full control of that locker room. He looks like a child. He looks like a kid to me. I mean, it's hard to me for grown men to respect someone who looks a lot younger than them. However, there has been, there has been cases where it's been that way before, where younger looking coaches get the utmost respect from players. But if you look at Tyreek Hill, he was late to that game when he got that pullover where the police put him on the ground. He was running late. Do you think McDaniel is allowing too much to go on in there by giving players extra latitude to do things that they want to do?
But exactly what I told you about the NBA. When you have players set in their ways, I don't care if you're young or old, it's kind of hard to control a lunatic. I ain't gonna say lunatic. I'm when a loose cannon, because guess what? They their own man. It's easier to do that to players that they're still trying to find themselves, young men that try to find themselves because they're still growing, they're still learning. When we have grown men, Tyreek Hill's in his 30s now, and he has won a Super Bowl, and he has won, not ain't gonna say one, he has gotten certain accolades and stats already. It's hard to tell players that a grown man what to do like that, especially when you are your own man. It's really hard to do that. He is his own, like he solidified himself as one of the best and fastest receivers. It's hard to teach them that, especially when they don't have an open mind to anything. And he's gonna do what he wants to do. He does it off the field and on the field. He says what he want to say. Think about it. He claimed that he's happy where he's at, but at the end of the season, he said this was it. And he's already shown disrespect not to only his teammates, his coach, and the organization. He's making more money with the Dolphins than he did with the Chiefs. He's not winning as much, of course, but he got most of his money. Just him personally has got more money with the Dolphins than he's gotten with the Chiefs. And you talking like that is crazy. He's going by his feelings. He's going by what what he wants to say, and he don't care. Well, guess what? It's what it is, man. That's what they wanted. They know he's not the most stable guy, or not the most humble guy around. If you talk to him, he's actually pretty decent. He's actually a cool guy. But guess what? Everybody have their faults, and he shows it day in day out the person he is. I ain't gonna say he complete a-hole, because if you see him on the screen, whatever, he's actually a real cool guy. But when it comes to him conducting himself, he's shown that he's not perfect.
Well, this is my thing. I mean, and I agree with everything you eloquently broke down. However, there are certain coaches they ain't gonna take it, man. They are no nonsense coaches. But that old school era is over, like the Tuna era, Bill Parcells, and the Don Shulas. You gotta adjust and be able to relate with these players.
But this is the time when coaches get fired for anything. So when they getting fired for anything, you can't put your foot down. It's hard for you to put your foot down if your job is not secure. Well, I don't know with Tyreek Hill per se, because he already has one foot in, one foot out. But if it's a player that shows that he really wants to stay with a franchise, I don't care if it's NBA or NFL, bro, they would rather keep that player than the coach. Nobody's coming to a game to see a coach, man.
True. That's true. But Mike McDaniel, I think he's done a fantastic job since he's been with the Dolphins, and I think he'll be there for the duration of, because I know Stephen Ross, and Chris Greer likes him a lot. So I don't see him going anywhere anytime soon, because he's an offensive mind. He's an great offensive minded coach. It's just that you wonder whether some of the coaches in the league, and I'm not saying Mike McDaniel is like this, but some of the coaches in the league tend to want to be friends with these players rather than, be coaches and assert themselves as a coach and say, look, this is the line drawn. Like, for example, a Mike Singletary, he's no longer in the league either as a coach. But Mike Singletary, he didn't take nothing off them players. I remember that incident with Vernon Davis where, Vernon Davis did something on the field and he came off the field and he refused to go to the locker room. And, Singletary walked over to him and said, go into the locker room. You're done. You're done. And they asked Vernon Davis a long time after when he was interviewing, what did you think about doing? He says, well, I didn't think about much of anything other than just going to the locker room like he told me to go to the locker room. Because Mike Singletary wasn't back down.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
And when last time have you seen that?
I haven't seen it in a while. I haven't seen it in the NFL nor the NBA in quite some time, But once
again, if you want job security, what they trying to do? They try to buddy with him, so be like, man, get rid of me, man. We friends. Tell me, your best job security is to win and be their friend. They don't want no dictator.
Yeah.
How you gonna tell me what to do and I make more than you?
Well, Mike McDaniel's
coach, you making $8 million as a wide receiver. I'm making 37. Just throwing a number out there.
Yeah.
How you gonna tell me what to do? I'm making 30 more million than you.
Yeah. And these players will tell you that too. They'll tell these coaches, look, man, I don't need to take nothing off of you as far as I'm concerned. And if you want to trade me or if you want to let me go, because I'm going to end up somewhere else. That's the same thing with Jalen Ramsey, how he got out of Jacksonville. Him and the head coach had a big old spat on the sideline and then he was gone, because they knew that he wasn't going to back down to that coach. It took other players to hold him from walking up into that coach's face, literally. So we're in a different time. We're in a different era, different generation. And it's just gonna continually, coaches is just going to have to continually figure out ways to relate with these players and make sure that these players are responding. Now, having players show up late, I was telling Isaiah, you know what? You're going to be fine. I'm going to just hit you with a $20,000 fine. And that way, I don't even have to argue with you. You show up late and we're already stretching, practice already started, or you show up late to this game and we're having meetings right before the game starts, and you show up late, like Tyreek Hill was running late. Look, just go on and write us a check, man. Write us a check. $20,000, even sometimes even higher, and they'll get the message. They tend to get the message when they start having to write that check, because I don't want to fight. I'm not going to physically go blow to blow with you, So
if he would have did that to Tyreek Hill, and if the police had nothing to do with it, if he was just late, if he would have sat out Tyreek Hill in that game, bro.
Well, I'm not saying
he would have worried about it. No, but I'm saying just for example, if he would have thought to do that, because just to keep his foot on these guys' neck, he would have been worried about his job because that was the first game of the season. He would have been worried about his job for the very first game of the season. Because the thing is, when you can't flex your type of, power on the players, it's hard to tell them what to do because guess what? You'll be the first person outside the door anyway.
Right.
You can't tell me, if you're trying to tell me, if you're my boss, if you're trying to tell me what to do, but they'd rather keep me than keep you, how can I respect you?
Players, they could sniff that out. The players know when to push a button or what to do certain things. They know how to actually take it to the next level to get a coach out of there because, whether it's on the field playing, without a lot of effort or whether it's showing up late to practice. One thing I said again that will remedy some of these problems is you hit them in the pocket. You tell everybody in a meeting, look, you show up late, you got $20,000 to $30,000 out of your pocket. That could be your booty shake club money, but it's coming to us because it ain't going to go to the booty shake club. It's coming to us because you showed up late. That's how we handle that. And you get to handling them like that, and the owner blesses that, you good. Because that's what got Brian Flores technically out of there was Tua. His not really kind of wanting to draft Tua, then he wasn't really confident that Tua could, play at the highest level at the position, which Tua has proven him wrong to a certain extent, other than these injuries, these concussions that Tua has taken. But back on track, Brian Flores got let go because of that, because, the rumor was that he was too strict. He brought that New England Bill Belichick approach to Miami, and, he was the type of coach that, is my way or the highway type of thing. So The only way you could fix some of these issues is you hit them in the pocket, whether that's NFL, NBA, or whatever the case may be. So, well,
just what you said. Hey, you just said it. You just said it in so many words, you didn't even realize it. They got rid of who?
They got rid of Brian Flores.
Brian Flores, coach, right?
Yes.
For who? For a person that's a rookie on a rookie contract. You're talking about you just telling about a superstar that has made his name in the league, not the team.
Oh yeah,
the league. You're telling me about a rookie. You telling me that's a person with potential, not a person that hasn't established anything.
Correct.
You got rid of your head coach.
It's everything you just said. Yeah. But once again, you can do little things as a coach, like I said, with these fines and stuff like that, which they ain't gonna get rid of the coach because of a fine. If I fine you and say, look, just open your checkbook up and write the
But you just pissed that player off. The player that probably wants you out of there now because you just took money from me. That could have been
organization.
That could have been my child's Disney World money, just for example. That could have been their money, but you just took it for them because you trying to flex your muscles at me. You just pissed me off now. Now I want you out of there.
Yeah, well, it depends on the organization and the circumstance, but you are right. I mean, it depends on the organization and the circumstance. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Kyle Shanahan for the San Francisco 49ers. Don't nobody cross him on that team. Don't nobody cross Kyle Shanahan on that team, because one of the things about Kyle Shanahan, he's a lot like his father, Mike Shanahan used to be. He'll get you out of there. Him and John Lynch, who's the general manager, who's the owner, is tight with John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. The owner gonna back them too. He ain't gonna back no player. I mean, come on. Okay. So it's a different organization.
He's allowed to do it.
Yeah.
He was allowed to do it.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Brian Flores was not. The guy you mentioned was allowed to do that. So guess what? Now I can influence stuff. I can actually, be a man about the job. I don't have to kiss up to a player because he wants to do what he want to do and I can't say nothing about it. Back him up. It's easier to do stuff when you are backed up to be able to do it. And they tell you versus telling you otherwise.
Right. There was some other variables and factors that Brian Flores, him and I don't even know if him and Chris Greer actually saw eye to eye on a lot of different things, because once he brought his coaching style, which to me, one of the best defensive coordinators currently in the league right now, I think he should be a head coach again, without a doubt. Somebody should hire Brian Flores because he's got that pedigree in him. But there was some other variables, not just two that led to him getting up out of there. So it starts to stack up over time. When you have those variables, like, for example, if you're not as sociable and you don't go play golf with certain people, or it's just a whole bunch of different things that they can kind of compile together to say, this might not be the person that we want here. And then the Tua incident could have been, the end of the rope factor to get him up out of there, because it's always like a pattern of other behavior or things that happen. Because one thing I can tell you is nobody's going to ever be Bill Belichick again in the league. I think Kyle Shanahan is close. Yeah, but that's dead. My way or the highway, Bill Belichick was the GM, and he shuffled in players, shuffled out players. He did what he wanted to do. Bob Kraft gave him, all the latitude in the world to make that team into a dynasty championship dynasty the way he did it. Them days are.
You've reached the end of another episode of the DC Stewart Sports Talk podcast. Be sure to connect with us at Facebook and Twitter.com. Your voice is important, so head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. Catch our next episode.